September 12, 1918, St. Mihiel. The morning air is thick with mud, gunpowder, and the metallic smell of fear. Barbed wire snags the fog, and the constant thud of artillery is the only heartbeat you can hear. And then, just for a second, silence. The sky cracks open. A streak of dark metal, faster than thought, tears through the clouds. No propeller, no familiar engine roar, just a single piercing shriek that freezes the breath in everyone's lungs. If you change just one thing in this war, how does history itself break? Hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will make you question everything you know about time. Down below, the trenches are living tunnels of misery. Mud sucks at your boots. Your greatcoat feels like it's made of lead, and every breath through your gas mask tastes of old chlorine. Orders are just shouted words and wet scraps of paper. Shell fire has sliced the telephone lines to ribbons. Soldiers stare at their watches, then at the sky, waiting for the whistle to go over the top. It's a death sentence they've learned to expect. Above them, a few German biplanes circle like lazy vultures, calling down artillery on coordinates. This is the familiar, brutal rhythm of 1918. But today, that rhythm snaps in half. The sound arrives before the shape a thin, blade-like whistle slicing the air. Then the cloud cover rips, and a hard-edged gray shadow flashes past. It's so fast, you blink, and you're not even sure you saw it. No one has a name for this thing. It's not a bird. It's not a Zeppelin. It's not anything the year 1918 has ever seen. It's an F-22 Raptor, a ghost from 2005, dropped into a World War I battlefield like a page torn from a future history book. Where a biplane struggles to climb, the F-22 just pulls back on the stick and the ground vanishes. 20,000 feet in 2 minutes. It turns with a force that would crush a 1918 pilot. Its fly-by-wire system makes movement into deadly precision, and its speed makes any biplane trying to chase it look like it's standing still. And hidden inside its sleek body is a weapon that would terrify this wood and canvas world. A 20mm cannon that shreds wings like you, dear tear paper. But here's the twist. This incredible power comes with a price, a very specific number, 480 rounds. At its modern firing rate, that's just a few seconds of absolute devastation. And then silence. There are no more 20mm shells waiting in 1918. There's no JP, H-jet fuel. There isn't a runway long enough to land on, or a ground crew who knows how to keep this beast alive. In a matter of minutes, the pilot will face a hard truth. The most powerful thing in the sky can be grounded by the simplest of problems. The real question isn't how strong it is, but for how long. Thanks for watching. Imagine an F-22 Raptor, the pinnacle of modern air combat, suddenly finding itself in the skies of 1918. Its enemy? German biplanes. They don't rush in like jets. They drift like a swarm of wooden bees, slow, wobbly, but numerous and stubborn. To the men of 1918, they're a familiar danger. But to the F-22, they're an unexpected nightmare. The wood frames and canvas return a faint radar signature, flickering between clouds and ground. Sometimes they vanish completely into the background clutter the radar is designed to ignore. They move so slowly that Doppler filters mistake them for stationary objects. Their prop engines radiate so little heat that infrared sensors can't lock on. There's no glowing exhaust plume, just a dull, uncertain warmth. A modern long-range missile needs a firm lock and predictable movement. But these targets shudder and jink without a pattern. The F-22 closes the distance too fast. Its advanced systems barely get a lock before losing it. Launching a missile is like throwing a spear at a ghost. The pilot understands immediately. The sky of 1918 woe and let him fight like it S-2005. He is forced to rely on the most brutal tool he has, the 20mm cannon. Classic, effective, and finite. He has only 480 rounds for the entire morning, for the entire weight of history. He dives, locking on with his naked eyes. His finger touches the trigger, and he knows he started a countdown clock in his own hands. He can't chase them like a World War I ace. He has to write new rules, cold as metal. No dogfighting, no tail chasing, no wasted shots. Only altitude, one dive, one clean cut, then vanish. The F-22 climbs like an elevator, storing energy, turning the sky into a bank of speed. Then he rolls over and drops into the biplane formation like a falling knife. Distance collapses in an instant. His sights sweep across canvas wings. A quarter-second squeeze of the trigger, one flash, one ribbon of rounds, and a wooden aircraft bursts apart, a wing breaking free and drifting slowly down. Before the survivors can even react, the Raptor has already pulled up and disappeared. He refuses to get drunk on the thrill of the fight. Each attack is a cold calculation: dive angle, distance, timing. Each burst is just enough to tear one target apart, not a single round wasted. But as he pulls up, he looks down and sees them: allied trenches, real men with soft bones. He realizes that if he unleashes his full power too low, the ground is where people will bleed. He could break the sound barrier at low altitude, creating a sonic boom strong enough to scatter the biplanes. But that invisible mallet would strike his own side: two panicked horses, ruptured eardrums, men slipping in the mud. He can't turn his allies into casualties. So he holds back. He flies just below supersonic, letting his engines unleash a rolling thunder that shakes the front line, vibrating barbed wire and making German pilots lose their rhythm. He flashes past, dives, fires another quarter-second burst, and vanishes into the clouds again. He roars down the trench line, shakes the air, and slices another target. But every pass eats fuel. Every shot eats ammunition. 480, 430, 380. The number in his head shrinks with every kill. He looks at the sky, still speckled with canvas wings, and down at the shadows of men in the mud. The battlefield is asking him a ruthless question. If you refuse to use your biggest hammer, how many people can you save in time? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. The ammo counter is no longer a number. It's the last few grains of sand slipping through an open palm. After so many quick diving attacks, he knows he's crossed the safety line. Every pull of the trigger now carves away at the little survival he has left. Fuel is the same story. The needle sinks slowly, like a guilty verdict being read aloud. And then a group of biplanes appears in the worst possible place, directly above the trench line where soldiers are about to go over the top. A few more minutes of observation is all the Germans need to call in artillery and crush everything. He's been holding back, but the battlefield doesn't allow for comfort. The F-22 lifts its nose, climbs, and pushes the throttle to the absolute edge. He skims the biplane formation at low altitude, and in that exact instant, the sky detonates. A sonic boom isn't a sound. It's a punch to the chest. On the ground, horses rear up. Soldiers freeze mid-step in the mud. Up above, the German pilots wobble, as if the sky itself has been yanked out from under them. In that brief moment of panic, he dives, squeezes the trigger for a quarter of a second, and snaps one aircraft in half. He pulls up before anyone can react. He rolls, rakes another short burst into the leader, trying to regroup his formation. Canvas tears open, and the remaining planes scatter in terror. The shockwave slams down into the trenches, and he knows that's a price he can only pay once. He eases the throttle and returns to just below the speed of sound. He won't swing that hammer a second time. The sky begins to quiet, not because the enemy is gone, but because he's running out of everything. The fuel needle has touched red. The ammo count in his head is just an imagined, empty clicking sound. In the skies of 1918, there is no return to base. There is only put it down or fall out of it. He climbs for one last circle and looks for a place to land. He sees fields ripped open by shells, scorched forests, and dirt roads twisting like scars. An F-22 needs a long, flat, concrete runway. This world only has mud. He spots a straight stretch of a forgotten supply track at the edge of a field long enough to gamble on. As he descends, the danger gets sharper. Smoke from shells blurs his vision. Low-hanging wires wait like traps. Craters litter the ground like open mouths. He lowers the landing gear, opens the speed brakes, and holds just enough airspeed to avoid stalling, but not so much that the soft earth will tear him apart. The touchdown feels like a broken breath. The wheels slam down, the jet bounces once, then the mud grabs and drags. He fights the brakes, correcting to keep the nose from pitching over. Finally, it stops, silent, motionless. A steel beast lying in 1918, separated from its world. No ground crew, no tow tractors. Just the heat shimmering off its gray paint and the unfamiliar smell of its fuel. He kills the engine, and the silence that follows is heavier than the guns that just went quiet. Men lift their heads from the trenches. They run out, rifles up, but their steps slow as fear takes over. They stare at the canopy like it's a giant, unblinking eye, at the jet's sharp angles like knife edges. They don't know whether to call it an airplane or a magic spell. And he looks back at them, at his own machine, and understands the next problem has nothing to do with the sky. Who is going to feed it now? When the engine goes cold, the F-22 stops being a predator. It becomes a question, lying still in the mud. A soldier from 1918 can touch its cold skin, but he can't give it what it needs to live another hour. It's the paradox of the future dropped into the past. It can tear the sky apart for a few hours, but it can't create the entire world it needs to keep itself alive. Stories will be told about the silver devil that ripped clouds open and snapped planes like matchsticks. But war doesn't belong to the strongest thing in a single moment. It belongs to the thing that can still fight tomorrow. So if you were in that trench, what would you do with this?